decided I would pick a short excerpt from the first volume and then an excerpt from the third volume. When you get this book and or you download it and you start to listen to it or read it, you'll find that there is a reason why it's divided into 3 sections. The first section is the most difficult because the first section challenges you to re-examine all your cherished beliefs about yourself, about the world, about the country, about your religion, about your family, about your friends, everything. It challenges you to re-examine all those cherished ideas that you've been carrying around all your life. And in doing so, you begin to see that many of them did not serve you very, very well. And then the second volume helps you to kind of put the pieces back together in such a way that you can better understand the content of your religion and the content of your schooling and the why and wherefore of your family and friends and all the people that you're connected with. And the third volume now allows you to really work on yourself. So I will read this from the first volume. Each one of the chapters has a title and it addresses a specific issue that concerns the human being. So everything in this book addresses human beings and the human condition. Like I said, it has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with the human spirit, the spirit of the human being, and the life of the human being. So this chapter is titled Ascent, and it's from the first volume. And I'm going to read just a couple of paragraphs. It is an irrefutable fact that what you do for your neighbor, you do in reality only for yourselves, solely for yourselves, since according to the eternal laws, everything returns to you without fail, good or evil, either already here or there. It will surely come. Thus, you are shown the simplest of ways in which this step to the good volition is to be understood. The word volition means your intention, your thoughts, your intention, what you want, what you wish. You should give to your neighbor with your being, your nature, not necessarily with money and goods, for then those without means would be excluded from the possibility of giving. And in this being, In this giving yourself in your relation with your neighbor, in the consideration and respect you voluntarily offer him, lies the love of which Jesus spoke. Lies also the help you give to your neighbor, because it enables him to change himself or ascend farther, and because he gains strength from it. The returning radiations of this, however, will quickly uplift you in their reciprocal effect. You will receive continually new strength through them. With a soaring flight, you will then be able to strive towards the light. Now I'm going to read something from the third volume. And this particular chapter is titled Thanks. Simply thanks. Go among your fellow human beings and listen to how much of the many things they talk about contains anything worth mentioning. Quickly and without any trouble, you will recognize how spiritually dead humanity is at present. Humanity who should work spiritually, which means that every word they utter should be of great and upbuilding value, because they are of the Spirit. You yourselves have deprived your words of all the high power which they should contain in the law of creation, due to your wrong application of this ultimate expression of your thoughts. The language is intended to serve the human being with power and as a sword in order to promote and protect harmony, not to spread suffering and conflict. A person who speaks out of his spirit cannot make many words, but with him, every word becomes a deed, because he swings in his word. And this swinging brings fulfillment in the law of reciprocal effect, which is fulfilled in the law of attraction of the same kind. For this reason, the human being should never utter words of gratitude in a superficial way, for they do not offer gratitude unless they are penetrated by the soul. Gratitude is closely linked with joy. Gratitude itself is an expression of purest joy. So, wherever there is no joy, where there is no joyful elation as the cause for gratitude, then there the expression gratitude is used wrongly. It is misused. Such misuse is found almost everywhere when human beings speak of gratitude and of thanks today. But the misuse of beautiful words of thanks is not only perpetrated by the one party. In other words, it's not only perpetrated by only the receiving ones, but also by the people who are giving, who entirely displace and distort the concept of gratitude. There are more than a few among humankind who, to all appearances, do a lot of good, and yet extend their help just to reap gratitude for themselves. In their giving, they are coldly calculating. Among these, there are also a few in whom a momentary feeling prompts them to offer help, but who later on constantly try to throw this at the one-time recipient, expecting gratitude from him for the rest of his life. Persons of this kind are worse than the most evil usurers. They do not shrink from expecting life enslavement from those who at one time or other received help from them. With this, they not only destroy their self-respect and the value they should receive for the help once given, but they fetter and burden themselves tremendously. Gratitude that is really felt intuitively is a compensatory value willed by God, which transmits the counter value to whomever gratitude is due. This is in the law of necessary equilibrium in this creation, which can only be upheld and furthered by harmony. That harmony which lies in the fulfillment of all the primordial laws of creation. You human beings, however, bring entanglement into all the running threads of the laws through your false practices and your erroneous conceptions. Therefore, you make it difficult for yourselves to attain to true happiness and to peace. In many cases, you are hypocrites with your words. How then can you expect that truth and happiness can blossom for you? For you must indeed always reap what you sow. Thus, you must also reap everything you sow with your words and through the manner in which you utter your words. Your own attitude towards these words. Nothing else can develop out of it for you. You must always remember this in regard to everything you say. Just think over everything once again each evening and try to recognize the worth of the words you have exchanged with your fellow human beings in the course of the day. You will be horrified at their emptiness, even at the emptiness of many hours of just a single day. Attempt this without any excusing of yourselves. With a shudder, you will realize what must also arise out of this for you in the workshop of creation, which is made well known to you through my Grail message, in which everything automatically manifests that issues from you through your intuitive sensing, your thinking, your speaking, and your actions. Examine yourselves seriously and honestly. From that hour onwards, you will change yourselves in many things. If this gives you a little glimpse of what this book contains and how you can help yourself with it, then I urge you to get it and start reading it or listening to it.
I hate to bring politics into this beautiful consideration that you're sharing with us. Thank you for all of this, by the way. But, you know, when I see things in the world that are unjust, it hurts me. I feel pain around that. And I find myself thinking, you know, I find myself upset at times around greater issues outside of myself. I'm just curious about your thought process around things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is one place where reading this book would help you tremendously, because it helps you understand. It takes you back over the entire history of humankind. First, you have to stand back and look at things. Maybe you're looking at things from a political point of view, or you're looking at things from a socio-economic point of view, or you're looking at things from a racial point of view, and you're seeing all these atrocities and you get upset. It's natural that you're upset. And in fact, what you're experiencing is pain. It's painful for you to see it. Can you change it by being angry? Probably not, because if you look at what's going on right now in our world, many who have been angry about the division between the haves and have-nots, and people of color and you know, people who are not of color, or the people with a college education and those without a college education, and people who live in the South as opposed to people who live in the North, and so on. Where has that brought us at this moment? A situation of conflict. And is the conflict going to actually make things better? Well, we don't know yet. But one thing we know is that when people react with anger and violence, it leads to more violence. Right? So the only people that are going to keep a level head are people who go inside and in their hearts, let's use the word heart, but in fact, in their spirit, can recognize that yes, there is injustice going on here, and we need to address it, but address it in a reasonable manner, through reasonable avenues, like the courts, you know, and so on, from a political, socioeconomic standpoint. But if you really want to understand how this came about in the first place, you have to realize that all the human beings that live on this earth have lived on this earth before, and will probably live on this earth again. So there are two things going on at the same time. One is that you're living this life right now. You know, the rickshaw driver in Bangladesh is living his life, is living this life right now and experiencing both pleasant and unpleasant things. You know, pleasant, his wife loves him. Pleasant, he just had a beautiful baby boy. Okay. And unpleasant, he's struggling for a living. He's, you know, trying to make ends meet, and, you know, there's monsoon, and, you know, he can hardly buy food for his family. In the midst, along with that, is his actual spiritual existence. This one life in Bangladesh is just one second in the context of his entire existence. He's lived somewhere else before. And before that, he was not a rickshaw driver. You know, he may have been a farmer. You know, he may have been a soldier, something else. But what that tells us is that your condition now, whatever is happening in your condition now, is intended to help you learn from your mistakes. So if we look at human beings as a whole, all the crazy things that are happening in our society is the sum total result of all our individual thoughts, words, and actions. You know, it's like it's our communal, it's what we have earned for ourselves. And in order to change that, we have to start by thinking differently. And this is where that section where I talked about paying forward, you have to send out thoughts of harmony, thoughts of equity, thoughts of goodness, thoughts of love, because as you send them out, they will impact other people, and your thoughts are not limited to time and space. That's the important part to remember. And the more people begin to realize this and send out their thoughts rather than fighting and arguing, more and more people will begin to respond in like manner. And that's what I suggest to you. I'm not as able to explain this as clearly as Abdru Shin, the author of this book. But if you take the book and you start to read it, every time you read a chapter, you go out and you look around you. You look around you and you see how everything he says in that chapter is playing out in the world today and in your life at this very moment.
When I look around and see how truly, anyway, at the world, is it even a valid question to say, has God given up on us?
Maybe what you need to ask yourself is it possible that my idea of how God relates to us human beings, you know, where God fits into our life and our existence, is it possible that my ideas are actually in error to begin with? I mean, does God kind of watch out for us and intervene in all our big and small problems? And if so, then that would justify a question of, has God given up on us? But the truth is, God does not involve himself. Even saying that is wrong, because the concept of the creator is not like a person. The creator is not a person. You know, the creator is the all-encompassing source of all perfection, all life. It's not a person, you know? So that all perfect source of all life is what drives everything in life and drives the natural laws. And these natural laws never give up on anything or anyone. The natural laws are there 24/7. 24/7. Once you actually take the trouble to become cognizant of the law, you can always tell what's going to, you can always predict how things are going to play out. And it has nothing to do with the creator, you know, giving up on you or not giving up on you. If you want to get this book, you can go online and download it, either as an ebook or as an MP3. And my advice is, when you do, start from page 1 and read it chronologically. Don't jump around, because it builds up step by step by step. It helps you build your understanding and worldview in a stepwise manner. And if you are reading this book, and like I said, the first volume is not easy. So when you're reading this first volume, you will come across things that will challenge every part of you. And it will challenge you to be really truthful and honest with yourself. When you come across something that you don't quite understand, put it down, go about living your daily life. When you pick it up again, read it again. Read that same chapter where you were stuck. Then, every time you read a chapter, go out and live your life. Ask yourself, what I read, how do I see it playing out in life, in my life today? Start living your life on a day-to-day basis. And you'll be amazed what will come out of it for you. Thank you.